The Padres dropped the rubber match against the Minnesota Twins and fall 2 games back of the Dodgers in the National League West. Welcome into another edition of Friar Territory. I'm Kyle Glaser alongside Mike Cameron. Mike, the Padres entered this week tied for first in the NL West. They have dropped 5 of 7, including back-to-back road series losses against the Mariners and the Twins. We've talked a lot about it. This team struggles badly on the road. This series loss against the Twins, though, a team that was under 500, that had lost 13 of 18 coming in, this is one of those the Padres are going to look back on and say, man, we missed an opportunity.
Yeah, look, Kyle, when you look at the Minnesota Twins roster at this point, you have to
What's left of it?
understand that there's one game, you can't overlook all of them.
Yeah.
But there's one game in this series, and more than likely, it's the Twins' best pitcher at this point, and Joe Ryan. So you knew that going into the series of what you was facing up against. You knew that was going to be a tough matchup because he's been pitching well. So the Twins were able to sneak the first one out, and then they won the second one big. But today, in the rubber match, you knew you were going to be up against a team, a pitcher that has been performing very well in over the course of this season.
So before the opener of the Padres Twins series, the Padres did get some bad news. Xander Bogaerts suffered a non-displaced fracture in his foot after fouling a pitch off in the finale against the Mariners. He will be out, it looks like, through the end of the regular season. And before we get into how the Padres are going to replace him, we do need to establish this is a big loss. We know Xander Bogaerts got off to a very, very, very slow start, and thus his overall numbers don't look all that impressive. But since the middle of June, he's been one of the Padres' best hitters. Over his last 60 games, he was hitting .302 with an .833 OPS, 17 doubles, 7 homers. He'd been a great defender all year at shortstop. I really want to give him credit. He's been much better than I expected him to be. He's been a great base runner, 20 for 22 in steals. This is a big loss for the Padres. Just overall, what were your thoughts upon hearing the news that Xander Bogaerts is going to most likely miss the rest of the regular season?
Well, given the roster construction situation and production-wise, this is a big loss, to give or take, because you have to understand that what Bogarts did was he solidified. He's probably not the greatest defensively in all of the analytic numbers or whatever it may be, but he's quality. He has experience, playoff experience, and he understands these situations that are taking place right now. Right now the team is having to try to piece together with saw Mason McCoy up. I also saw you got Will Wagner, but is these guys shortstops, and you also have Jose Iglesias. So you just gonna have to piece together at this point, man, and try to make it, mismatch as much as possible, and hope these guys can give you some production in that particular spot. But hopefully the other guys around them are continuing to be very productive, so it doesn't show up very much. You just need someone that can catch the ball and be adequate at this particular point, because that's a big loss. And we can look at it any way possible. When you lose a guy who understands how to play the game, and also down in these situations right now in a playoff run, is very important. It's definitely very important, man. So Schulte got a tough job of being able to try to piece this together on a nightly basis for the next 20 something odd days or whatever, and see what happens. It's a tough loss for the team.
No question. Look, Xander Bogaerts was hitting for average. He was getting on base. He was hitting for power. He's playing a solid defense at shortstop. He was running the base as well. This is a big loss for them. And that brings me to some of what you talked about, how they're going to replace him. The Padres are going to have a very, very interesting roster decision to make this coming week. Jackson Merrill, who has been out with a sprained ankle, is expected to return during their upcoming series against the Orioles. Since Jackson Merrill has been out, the Padres have gone with an outfield alignment of Fernando Tatis Jr. in right, Ramon Laureano in center, and Gavin Sheets in left. Gavin Sheets, since being reinserted into the starting lineup, has not only been the Padres' best hitter, He has been one of the best hitters in baseball. In the month of August, Gavin Sheets hit 412 with an OPS over 1200, 11 extra base hits in 18 games. He was great most of the season, slumped a little bit going into the All-Star break and through the trade deadline. Lost his starting spot when the Padres acquired Ryan O'Hearn, but as soon as he got an opportunity again, once Jackson Merrill got hurt, he's been fantastic and frankly a guy the Padres cannot afford to take out of their lineup. But you know the outfield's going to be Tatis, Merrill, Laureano when Merrill comes back. And that means realistically between Ryan O'Hearn, Gavin Sheets, and Luis Arias, you've got three guys for two spots, first base, DH. You're going to cycle them through, and you kind of need all three of them in the lineup. Which brings me to the outside the box idea. Jackson Merrill was a shortstop coming up. That's the position he played his entire career. Where would you stand on the idea of putting Jackson Merrill at shortstop so that you keep, again, Sheets in left, O'Hearn and Arias first base DH? That would be the Padres' best lineup, but it raises some defensive questions. Where are you on that possibility?
First and foremost, Shilty has to go to Jackson and ask him, like, hey, what do you feel about playing shortstop for a few weeks, or give or take? We don't know how long that Bogaerts is going to be out with a foot injury, and then it takes time for him to come back with something that doesn't matter. You go to Jackson and you ask him, like, how do you feel about it, and see what he says, how he can go about doing it. And if he's up to the task, then I would put him back at shortstop, let him run that for a little bit. That gives the other opportunity of the guys to be able to get in a lot of them on a more daily basis with Laureano and Sheets in the outfield. And then you get a chance to put O'Hearn at DH. So it helps a lot in that sense. Or if you want to put Arias at DH and you play first base with O'Hearn. So it's just a matter of what they're willing to do at this point. And just kind of get a feel, check the temperature, with Jackson Merrill and see what it is. And just like, hey man, this is an emergency situation and this is our best lineup right now with you playing at shortstop. And obviously we cannot, falter at this point. We need everyone. So it's important to be able to do this at this particular point and just kind of get a feel for it because he's not that far removed from it. It ain't like we're asking Tatis to go back to shortstop. We're asking Jackson Merrill to go to shortstop where he's only like a year removed,
year and a half removed. I mean, it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
So,
but it's still in him. It's in him, man. It's in him. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's still look. When I played, I was going to shortstop, taking ground balls every once in a while just to mess around. So, I mean, I know what it is, and look, that change for these few weeks may increase his intensity mentally, where you got to be real focused when you're playing on that dirt. So it's in person. It's really important to find out if he could do something of this matter.
Yeah. So look, there's no question. This is a Padres lineup that has struggled to score and struggled to generate power. And the best offensive lineup for this team for these final 25 games does have Jackson Merrill at short, Sheets in left, Laureano in center. But it would hurt the team defensively. And this is a team that is so much more about run prevention than run production. And I think there are a few steps that have to be taken before you even consider doing this. First and foremost, like you said, you have to talk to Jackson and say, hey, is this something you feel comfortable doing? Is something you feel up for? And then look, they should at least explore it. Get him out, do some pregame work, hit him ground ball, see how he's moving. Because again, he's coming off an ankle injury. And Mike, a lot of times when guys come off the IL, they're not really 100%. It's okay, I'm good enough to play. And if he's, say, 80% on his ankle, then putting him at short probably is not the right thing to do. So I think a few things need to happen. One, get him out there, see if he's actually 100%, and B, hit him some ground balls. And if he looks up for it, then we can talk about the next steps. So I will say this. I think the Padres should at least explore it. And when I say explore it, I don't mean put him in a game, this week at shortstop. I mean, let's start some infield work. Let's see how he's moving. Let's see how comfortable he is and just see if it's even a possibility. That's step one. Dog days of summer means MLB is fully heating up, and so is your shot to score big. Download the Pick 6 app for the easiest way to turn your baseball takes into actual cash. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. No gimmicks, no weird rules, and get this. All new Pick 6 customers will instantly get $50 in bonus picks on just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL. New customers play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Ride the upside, where a few bucks can turn into a bag. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. 8/24/25 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promo.
Yeah. Very much so. Don't have a lot of time at this particular point. You just got to understand what's transpiring and to see, if it's a possibility. But you gotta go to them and find out, because look, we may suffer a little bit defensively, but on the flip side of that, we definitely gain the advantage of being able to have 3 of our hottest swingers in the game in Sheets, in Laureano, and O'Hearn. And it just kind of gives you kind of keep these guys going in a very big stretch where you're going to have to start putting W's on the board as much as possible at this particular time.
And I think it's important to discuss what kind of defender Jackson Merrill was as a shortstop. As we mentioned, he came up as a shortstop. As an amateur throughout his entire minor league career, he didn't play center field until the major leagues, which was what was so incredible about his transition, the fact he was able to make it and do it. So I saw a lot of Jackson Merrill play shortstop when he was in the minors, both at Lake Elsinore and in San Antonio. And the way I would describe Jackson Merrill as a shortstop, he's very instinctive, quick first step, very fundamentally sound. And that was what stood out about him. Look, he's not this super rangy guy. He's not Francisco Lindor out there with crazy range going up the middle or to his backhand. But what he is he positions himself really, really well. His ability to read swings, position himself in the best place to make a play was really, really impressive. And seeing him, especially in Lake Elsinore as a 19-year-old, I mean, Mike, you know this, these high school draftees in low A, these shortstops, a lot of times it's guys who are these, super athletes who are super rangy, but they have no idea what they're doing with their footwork. Their arm slots all over the place. They're super inconsistent. What was so impressive about Jackson Merrill was how polished he was. Again, the footwork was really good. Yeah. The first step was good. The hands were good. Quick release. I remember it will forever stick out in my mind. I saw Lake Elsinore playing Visalia. Jordan Lawler was at the plate. And Jordan Lawler can fly. It was a hard hit ground ball up the middle. I thought was going to be a clean single. And Merrill just real quick, quick first step, got over there, fielded it cleanly, stepped on second, and threw to first for a double play. And it was like that. I was like, whoa. It was just quick. So he's not the rangiest guy in the world, but he has some short area quickness. He didn't move off of shortstop because he couldn't play the position. He didn't move to the outfield because he couldn't play shortstop. He moved to the outfield because that's what the Padres needed. So he can play the position. The skills are in there, but it's been 2 years, and there's a big difference between playing shortstop at AA versus the major leagues. The ball gets on you faster. The runner's going to get on you faster, and you're going to get so many more balls that you have to, make the play on at short than you do center field. It's a risk. It is a very big risk, but I do think the Padres need to at least explore it. And if he does show he can do it, pregame the ankle feels good. Honestly, I think they need as much offense as they can get. And at that point, maybe do throw him out there, give him a game or two, see how it goes, and go from there. I think ruling it out is a mistake. That's what I'm getting at. Ruling it out is a mistake that hurts the team.
Yeah, look, you got to take a chance. I mean, like, you're not asking someone who never played the position before to do this. You're asking him in response to what is going on with your team, and you have to ask him just to me about the whole situation. And I think that's probably the most important thing. And it's like, hey, hey, what do you feel about playing shortstop? And see where his mind is. how long does it take him to answer, and to get a grasp on what he's feeling to be able to contribute to that. And then you let him know, be like, hey, like right now, dude, if you're at shortstop, this gives us our best opportunity to put our best offense in the lineup on a daily basis.
Yeah,
So
and knowing Jackson
I think
Merrill,
this is very important.
yeah, no,
He'll
and
try it. I'm sure.
knowing Jackson
I'm
Merrill,
sure.
he's going to say yes. He's a competitor. He's going to do whatever he needs to help the team win. And again, maybe they explore it and it's not a good idea and it doesn't work. Okay, no harm, no foul for a game or two. But I do think they need to at least explore it. We'll see what they choose to do. And Mike, I talked about this with Heath Bell. I talked about it on the show after the Mariners series loss. The Padres are 43-22 at home. Over the course of a 162 game season, that winning percentage, that equates to a 107 win team. They're essentially a 107 win team at home. On the road, they're 33-39. That equates to a 74 win team.
Yeah. Like you just don't, like the one thing you do want to do, I do know, is you want to be good at home, and then you just want to play at least 500 balls on the road. And that's been a difficult task for this team. And I don't know if it's because it's a West Coast travel team. I don't know. I don't have the formula for it. I mean, you at this point, you have to figure out some kind of way to win a couple of more series on the road to ensure your opportunity of challenging the Dodgers. Um, and so when we look at it from that perspective and that aspect, now we start to look at the individuals that are running out there every day and performing. So, we're looking for those different pieces to find out what can we do better? Who does well on the road? I mean, if it's got to be shifting of lineups or whatever it may be, you got to do something to try to shake this up so you can get yourself back on a winning track. And especially in this 25, 23 game sprint where we're at right now. So it's vastly important for the team to make sure that they're in position to do something a little bit better on the road than they have been doing, man. Because losing these series against teams that you're supposed to compete very well against, could put you in a crazy situation going into the playoffs.
No question
where you may
about it.
have to start on the road.
No question about it. The Padres right now are in the 5 spot in the National League playoff picture, and they would have to start on the road. And realistically, right now, you cannot pick this team to win any series on the road. You just can't, given how poorly they've played. And I think realistically, too, you talk about coming into this 6-game road swing they just completed. They won the first 2 against the Dodgers. They dropped the Sunday finale. Okay, they're tied for first place. And look, the Mariners were a very good team, and that was a very hard-fought series. At the same time, the Mariners had lost 8 of 11 going into that series.
Oh, yeah.
Padres, realistically say, hey, the Padres are playing well. They'd come off, they'd won 5 straight before losing that, finale against the Dodgers. Going in, facing a team that lost 8 of 11, you expect them to at least, again, you want them to win that series. They didn't. And then the Twins series, again, this is a Twins team that had dropped 13 of 18. They traded 10 players off their big league roster at the deadline. This is a team that is full sell mode. I mean, you look at their lineup right now, there's maybe 3 or 4 guys that you'd be like, yeah, that's a big league starter. It's a lot of young guys. It's a lot of backups. You just cannot lose to this team. And I think, too, you mentioned the finale. You're right. Joe Ryan versus a bullpen game, you're probably not going to win that one. The issue is what happened on Friday. Padres up 2-1. You have a lead against a team that you should be, frankly, blowing out of the water. And then Nestor Cortes says something to the umpire, gets ejected. The bullpen comes in, and it all implodes. Cortez, in his telling, just said to the umpire, hey, you missed 3 or 4. And look, he was getting squeezed. That was enough to get him tossed, and it spiraled from there. I do want to ask, look, we know umpires, when it comes to balls and strikes, can be pretty touchy.
Yeah.
In Cortez's telling, again, we didn't hear it from the umpire side, just saying, hey, you missed 3 or 4 there. Do you think he should have known that would get him tossed? Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these times it just depends on the actual umpire who you're dealing with. And some of these new young guys or whatever it is, they
Yeah.
got a no tolerance situation. And,
Yeah.
some guys, it depends on how you speak to them also. Like, hey, I got this pitch, this place, whatever it is, because you can't really argue balls and strikes. The
Yeah.
rules state you can't really argue balls and strikes, but you should be able to talk about it so you can kind of devise your plan around what's going on. And so that's important in itself. And and Nestor should know that right now, like bro, like our bullpen has been taking a beating, other than the last week that we were at home, you know,
Yeah.
pitching wise when we gave them opportunity. And going into Sunday that there's going to be a bullpen game. You cannot put your team in that position. Like, I understand the frustrations. Everyone is going to have a little bit of a high tempered manner at this particular time, but you got to be much smarter than that, given the situation, and just kind of address it head on. If you have a problem with the umpire, then hey, man, when they're checking your hands and all that kind of stuff, like, just when the inning's over, walk up to him and it's like, hey, put your glove on your mouth and be like, hey, where you get those couple pitches at? I feel like I'm right there. Where you got him at or whatever. Just kind of get a sense of what it is. So it puts it on his mind. But if you're going there with it, blazing, blazing with your guns, they ain't gonna tolerate that. They don't care who you are at that point, because they already know that you're not supposed to be arguing with me, balls and strikes anyway. So, this is what it is. Or maybe even let Schulte know, or the pitching coach know, so they can go out and address the situation as best as possible, given the situation. Because what it's doing now, anytime you do something that you feel like on your own and it comes into play, your ego comes into play, it impacts the team, not today, not tomorrow, but the day that that your bullpen is going to try to eat up some innings for you, already knowing that they already come in on Friday, when there's probably a chance that they didn't really have to come in, given the score, given the situation, and given how Nestor was pitching.
Yeah. No, again, just an all around, not what you wanted to have happen on multiple levels this series. But look, the Padres are coming home. They get 3 games against a sub 500 Orioles team. You got to flush it. You got to move on. This is a very, very important series for the Padres to get on track. We're going to take a quick break, hear another word from our sponsors. We'll jump right in.
Okay, KP, this is your first Arena Club experience. We're going to open a slab pack together. So first off, we're going to buy one of those $25 slab packs, and we get to see what is in the pack. There it is. The Grail, which is the best card in the pack and worth the most. There are some other cards that we're chasing, and you can see the entire lineup so that you know what you're in the running for. There's the Yamamoto signed card. Now, let's open up our pack and see how we do.
Jesus.
We have ourselves a really cool graphic, and then a Shohei Ohtani 50-50 card from last year. What do you want to do? Should we sell it right back to them for 16, or should we keep it?
You should give it to me. I'll keep it.
Good answer. Fine, I will give it to you. Since the Blue Jays didn't get Ohtani, you can get this 50-50 card instead. Use the code FOUL, F-O-U-L, to get yourself 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase. Yes, you get to keep that card if you want it. They send it to you. FOUL at arenaclub.com/foul.
All right, Mike, the Padres open up a 3-game series against the Baltimore Orioles coming up at Petco Park. The Orioles are in last place in the American League East. This is a season that has not gone the way they expected. They're 61-76. Once again, this is a series the Padres have to win if they want to contend for a division title. What are you going to be looking for here this series? Again, back at home against the last place team. What are you going to be watching for?
Well, most importantly, just the starting pitching matchups. That seems to be the problem with the Baltimore Orioles this year.
Yes.
They've had these streaks. They've had these streaks of they play very well and then they lose 7, 8, 9 in a row. So these teams are dangerous, but they're fairly young at this point. And so, you have to take that in consideration, because the Padres are looking to provide impact, right now with these series coming up now, where we're needing to get W's to at least set ourselves up to win a series. And that is probably the most important thing. And you can't overlook these teams that are, had fire sales and everything else, but you respect the situation, but you know that there's a reason why they are who they are, and just don't get too lackadaisical and take these guys for granted because they will sneak up and beat you. They beat a lot of teams, when they had this run of 7-8 games where they beat Boston, they beat Detroit, I think it was. So you cannot take them for granted, man, because they do show that capability. The reason why they are where they are today, though, is partly because of their starting pitching, and that's what you got to take advantage of in the San Diego Padres situation right now.
Yeah, the Orioles have lost 8 of 10, and you're right. The pitching matchups are going to be key here. Dylan Cease pitches the opener against Kyle Bradish, who just came off the IL. Yu Darvish will go against Tyler Wells in Game 2. Tyler Wells will be making his first start of the season. He's had a whole bunch of injuries. Then the finale Wednesday afternoon, it's going to be Nestor Cortes versus Kate Povich. Povich is a young lefty, throws hard, still doesn't really know where the ball's going, has an ERA over 5. So, look, 2 pitchers in Bradish and Wells who are talented, but they haven't been healthy. They've barely pitched this year. And, Cade Povich, again, that's, a young lefty with an ERA over 5 when you're at home. Those are the kind of matchups the Padres have to win. And to that end, on the Padres side, look, Dylan Cease and Yu Darvish have both struggled. They have not pitched well on the road. They have both pitched better at home. They need to continue that. Then Nestor Cortes, again, had a couple rough starts, had some good ones. We talked about his ejection on Friday, how that affected things. So, look, this is a series the Padres, it's always hard to say you should sweep a team. It's hard to sweep any team, especially a team that does
definitely
and wants to play spoiler. But if the Padres are really serious and want to back up their talk about winning the division, this is a series you have to win and have to win, convincingly.
Yeah, look, does the Padres have any more games against the Dodgers, for one thing?
Nope.
So I don't know what their schedule in that sense. So it's going to be tough.
They do not.
So you're depending on someone else to try. Yeah, you're depending on someone else to try to get it done. And one of the biggest things you got to do with this particular point is, you're focusing on trying to win this first game and try to win a series. I mean, if you do that down the stretch, more than likely you're going to put yourself in a pretty good situation. I don't know if it's going to be enough to catch the Dodgers at this point, but there's a possibility of that. And so then you're asking for a little bit of help. But you do have to take care of your situation more so than worry about trying to supplant the LA Dodgers, man. So these kind of games right here, man, will stress you out as a team going down there because you're trying to put yourself in a good position, to be in a playoff run. And the higher your seeding is, the better off it is for you as a team. And so otherwise you're in a gauntlet chase. I mean, and that could be detrimental, in a sense, especially, teams that don't play well on the road, man. Like that's not something that you probably want to start at. But, here again, the Padres do have an opportunity to still gain ground and maintain their position right now, but also, with some of the guys that they're playing at this particular point. So it's important in that aspect.
Yeah, the Padres finish out here. 16 of their final 25 games are at home. So, look, they're 2 games back of the Dodgers with 25 to play. That is by no means an insurmountable lead. And the schedule does line up in their favor. But they have to go out and execute. And I will say with rosters expanding, getting Jackson Merrill back off the IL will help. Getting Michael King back off the IL will help. He's expected to come back at some point this week as well. So if they're able to come back and be their best selves, that's a huge boost for the Padres. The loss of Xander Bogaerts hurts. There's no question about it. They're in an okay spot, but now it just comes down to executing. And Mike, as we wrap up here, you have been a part of so many teams that finish season strong, and you were a part of many teams that faltered down the stretch.
Yeah.
What to you is the biggest thing to watch, and what is the biggest difference between success and failure at this point in the year?
It's just part of it is just production and not trying to put so much pressure on yourself. Being productive for your team on that particular night, and that is important. I'm just looking at the schedule right now. They got Colorado, they got Cincinnati, Then they got Colorado again. They go to New York again. And they got Chicago White Sox and Milwaukee and Arizona. Those could be tough, man. Those are tough matchups, and you don't want to come down to the last 6 games of where you are in your seeding to put yourself in that position. But you do have to take care of business against teams that are not very good. And there's no disrespect to the teams that are not very good.
Your record is
it's
what
just
it is.
that you know that you're gonna have to play to beat these guys. They're not going to give you anything. So I think that's probably one of the most important things is like just beating guys up. And we know baseball, man, I don't feel like San Diego hasn't had a run since like the early May or something like that. Is where they haven't been, had that run where they've been just consistently just finding ways to win ball games. So it's been tough. They've had a few comeback wins this year, but it's just a matter now of the team being healthy and mentally prepared for what is transpiring over the next 3-4 weeks or so.
Yeah, finding consistency is key. The Padres lost 4 straight, then they won 5 straight, and now they've lost 5 of 7. It's been very up and down recently. They've got to find that consistency. We will see if they can find it now as the calendar turns to September. Mike, appreciate you joining us today. Thank you for your expertise and insight, as always.
Always good. Always Friar Territory. Show love, baby.
Absolutely. And that's a great reminder. Go to friarterritoryshop.com right now. We got all sorts of gear up there. Shirts, hats, cups, folders, bags, whatever you want. Go check it out. It's great swag. I got my order in. It's all good stuff. For Mike Cameron, I'm Kyle Glaser. This has been another edition of Friar Territory. Go ahead and leave us a review. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, whatever platform you're watching and listening on. We'd love to hear from you. We will be back later this week with more updates on the Padres and their playoff chase. Have a good one.